All right, so here we are beginning the process for making the Pearl BAals. So we're starting with adding the meat. The recipe called for ground pork. I used ground chicken because that's what I had. And then you just add the soy sauce and the salt. And you really want to mix this thoroughly until both the meat and the ingredients are thoroughly combined. The next thing that we're going to add are the bamboo shoots. The recipe called for them to be blanched and then shredded, but ours are canned and they're tender and no salt in them whatsoever, so all of that's completely unnecessary. I just went ahead and diced them. And I'm just going to add the remainder of the ingredients for the meatball mixture. So there's eggs and ginger. I use pickled ginger here because that's what I had. Sesame oil, sugar. Oh yeah, and the minced green onions. If your mixture looks a little thin, you can always add a little bit more tapioca flour. Flour is one of the unique ingredients in this, what is otherwise just an Asian meatball. Western style meatballs, we usually put breadcrumbs, but when you put flour, in particular tapioca flour, into a meatball mixture, it really gives it a different kind of texture. So I mixed this, for quite a while. It was probably about 5 minutes. It looked a little thin to me, so I ended up adding a little bit more tapioca flour. And you can see the final texture here. It's a bit more firm. It holds its shape, and looks like, a proper meatball or dumpling mixture. At this point, we can just cover it with plastic wrap and put it into the refrigerator. A minimum of 30 minutes. A couple hours is probably better. You could certainly leave it overnight. Primarily what's going to happen is the tapioca flour is going to absorb some of the moisture from the meatball mixture. Now, I didn't show this on camera, but I soaked the glutinous, or what is otherwise known as sticky rice, in water for about 2 hours. And here I'm just, I've strained it. I let it sit for quite a while in that strainer to make sure all the moisture was gone. And fast forward into a half an hour later, and I'm pulling the mixture out of the refrigerator. I've got the rice, and I'm just going to scoop it into balls. The recipe called for it to be made into tablespoon size bits. I was fumbling around with a set of teaspoons here. I wish I had a portion scoop that was just the right size, but all of my portion scoops at home were either too small or too big, so I went with this spoon. You can certainly do it with a soup spoon. Just try to get as consistent as you possibly can with the sizing. It's going to look better when you arrange several of them. Now, I kind of wasted my time putting this onto a large plate. I think I could have certainly put this directly onto an oiled pan that would fit inside of my steamer. I realized this in a few moments, and you'll see I switched over to a pan with oil that fitted my steamer. So the oil that I used here is just neutral oil, canola. There's plenty of sesame flavor already in the balls. If you wanted more, probably the smartest thing to do would be just put more sesame oil into the balls. And now that they're shaped in a pan, I've got a steamer fired up and put them inside the steamer. They're going to steam for about 30 minutes. While they're steaming, I went ahead and put together the sauce. It's real simple, just rice wine vinegar and ginger. Again, I used pickled ginger. It's a pink one from Japan. Could have used fresh if I had it, but I had pickled, and you know, if you don't have fresh, preserved is just as good. What else would you do when things aren't in season? I went ahead and pulled the balls out of the steamer, and just putting them on a plate. You know, you can arrange these however you want. The book suggested to steam them on bamboo leaves. You could certainly use banana leaves or plantain leaves. And you know, it's a beautiful way to plate it up as well. Here I just went with something a little bit more modern, and I put it into this, you know, nice little segmented dish. And instead of serving the dipping sauce on the side, especially with the pink ginger, I thought that it would look a lot better if I just plated the sauce on top of the balls.